Everybody, this is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse on the LCC Network for our 30th episode of the offseason and the 31 week, if that doesn't make it any more confusing. But we have an excellent episode for you guys. We are doing our linebacker rankings going into the season. Yes, we have taken into account CJ Mosley and etc. with all the people opting out of the season. So we have a great show for you guys. We've got Jameson and Cody here with me. How's it going, y'all?
I'm good.
Good? Yeah.
Jameson. It's going excellent, guys. Um, so we have, like Pat mentioned, we have the linebacker rankings on today's show. We did account for C.J. Mosley and Dante Hightower and any of the other guys that we could think of. We've tried our best to keep up with that list. It appears to be growing, so we'll see. Hopefully, there won't be many more additions. Um, Guys, there are. I was just looking at this before we jumped on. We've got linebackers today, DBs next week, and then after that, it gets very, very slim. We've only got uh, basically 3 or 4 episodes before the season starts. After that,
Jeez.
so so we're getting down to really we're going to be hopping into like pre-draft discussions soon, and draft predictions and all that stuff before the season starts. So it's creeping up on us, guys. It's getting very, very close. All right. So are you guys ready to jump in right into our linebacker rankings? We've got 48 of them here. So, linebacker ones and twos enough for every single team. So you ready?
Let's do it.
Ready.
All right. Let's do this. So I'm hoping that it will be football time this year. So we'll see how the rest of the offseason plays out. But to kick it off here, guys, consensus LB number one. This is no surprise, right? It's Darius Leonard. I don't know how you could expect him not to be, linebacker one. If anyone has him who isn't one, let me know. I would like to discuss it with you. The rest of the top 10 here, Jalen Smith, our consensus number 2, Corey Littleton, number 3, Bobby Wagner, number 4, Blake Martinez, number 5, Joe Schobert, 6, Fred Warner, 7, Devin White at 8, Devin Bush at 9.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I miss it, man. That was Isaac's favorite too, I think. And so every time I play it, I think about him. And then Deion Jones at number 10. So, Cody, you mentioned off the show that you were the highest on Deion Jones, like in this, like throughout the offseason so far, and then you had him the lowest on your list, which is unusual for that to happen to us.
Well, I just look at it as like I change your minds.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. You and Cody influenced us.
He's an
In fact,
influencer.
while we're here, let's go ahead and do the 12 because that way it breaks down to 4 even groups. 11 is Tremaine Edmonds, and 12 is Jordan Hicks, who finished number 1 last season. Guys, these are the traditional LB1s, right? The top 12 guys. Cody mentioned it before we started. You feel like these are the locked-in, like guys that you feel like really aren't going to go anywhere. Like, these are going to be the guy, kind of the guys we expect, right, to not really move a whole lot. You guys feel good about these top 12 that we have here in our consensus?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you go, Pat.
Well, for me, like Tremaine Edmonds is maybe one who I wasn't as high on. So like that's one guy I had outside my top 12. With that said, he's definitely an athlete who could end up being there. I think he's a stud. He's going to rack up tackles. I said tacklers. I think, honestly, my biggest knock, though, is he's on a really, really good defense, which does worry me about, like, tackles and stuff. They have good safeties on the team. I've got him at 14 on my list, so just outside the top 12. But other than that, I pretty much feel confident with every one of these other guys we have on there. Oh, and Blake Martinez is a little low for me, obviously. I've got him in my number 2. He's at our consensus 5. I'm a little bit higher on him than most people, mostly because I just like his landing spot and the role he's going to be playing there in New York.
Any thoughts,
Yeah,
Cody?
yeah. Well, for me, like I think with the top 12, and I think you can add maybe a couple of guys sprinkled in behind that. These 12 guys here. These are the guys that aren't going to go any lower than like 20 really or 21. You know what I'm saying? The guys
Yeah.
after that, minus a couple, a few. Minus a couple or a few of them. Um, you don't know where they're going to finish. They could finish. They could easily finish in the top 12. They could easily finish in the bottom, 30. So I think that's what distinguishes these top guys because they've been here, they've done that, they've done it several times. Darius Leonard 2 years ago, what, second best player overall. Last year could have maybe made the same marks, but was out a couple of years. Jalen had a really good year before last year, and then really kind of set his mark, and people think he's going to step up. Same thing, Corey Littleton going to the Raiders didn't. People don't think he's going to skip a beat, but like the list goes on, and and to push towards like the Tremaine Edmonds thing as well to answer that a little bit. I think Edmonds is one of those guys that's been built. Obviously, like he got drafted very high, and Edmonds is one of those guys that's been building from like media perspectives and things of that nature. And he had a good rookie year. I think last year's second year.
I think it was his second or third year.
I think I want to say it was his second. So I think he had a really good rookie year, and he kind of took a little bit of maybe not even a step back, but more just kind of didn't improve as much like production wise. And I think this year, that third year, I think a third year is always a stepping stool for a lot of guys. Like I know people like really use it for receivers, but I think third year in general for the NFL, people have that. I don't know. They've been there, done that. It's not like, oh, I'm going into my second year. Last year I learned a lot. One year who says they're excellent at their job in 1 year? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think to really like feel confident, especially for most guys, third year is that year where they explode, and he's been billed as that talent rich guy, and we've seen flashes of that. So I think this is why maybe me and Jameson are a little higher on him than Patrick per se, because we're projecting a little bit more than Patrick. I think. Um,
I think part of it too is Patrick had him last year, and maybe he felt like
Well,
the expectation that he set going into last season, and maybe Pat, did you feel a little bit let down based on what you expected from him? Is that why? Because he finished his LB 21 last season.
you're talking about Edmonds?
Yeah.
Edmonds, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little let down, but I was still pretty satisfied, honestly, with his performance. With that said, I had Joe Schobert on my team, so I didn't feel like I needed Tremaine to go out there every week and get me 40 points. I mean, he was getting you low 30s, which is, it's acceptable, but it's not something you need when you're like in a tight race in a game like Monday night and you're like, oh, I need Tremaine Edmonds to get me like 42 points. He's not going to do that, or he wasn't doing it in 2019 at least. And that's because, like I said, you've got a good defense, man. Tremaine Edmonds is a great player, but he's really not necessarily the best player on that defense, with that said. And because of that, he doesn't get the tackles and the turnovers that some of the other players get.
See,
You guys, go ahead, Cody.
you can see my thought was is I kind of disagree. Outside of I'm not I don't really count secondary. I guess you can maybe count Poyer because he might fill the box a little bit, but linebacker wise, he's the best guy in that box. I think he's better than Matt, and obviously you do too by your rankings. Um, I think Matt is unathletic, really, and I think that's the only linebacker that's really going to challenge him for tackles. I think their defensive line lost a little bit of depth. They added a rookie out of Iowa in the second round, which was a nice little pick. But, I mean, they lost Shaq Lawson, which kind of had a pretty good year, especially near the end of the year last year. I don't know. I think there's no challenges. I think their best players are on the outside, which don't challenge for tackles too much. Besides Poyer, like I mentioned earlier, but after that, like what else? Who's challenging him?
Well, for me, it was Matt Milano is one dude who was
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
yeah, Matt was getting a lot of tackles. at playing an outside linebacker mostly. I mean, I'm not saying Matt Milano's like a threat, but he does siphon out a lot of the tackles that Tremaine Edmonds could be getting.
Yeah, I got you. I think Matt Milano's gonna lose like snaps. Personally, I think they're gonna go a lot of like I don't know. I think they're gonna go a lot of like nickel and dime where he gets cycled out, and I think that's gonna benefit. And honestly, really, Edmonds is. I don't even think his tackles are that far off. He just needs a couple of those splash plays involved, and he's a really athletic linebacker, so I think that can happen.
So where does he get drafted? Real quick, what round?
Tremaine? Oh god, Tremaine's gonna fall. I think to probably the
Fourth, fifth.
I was gonna say third at the very earliest.
Ooh,
I think third
I'll,
round.
I'll take him in the
forget
5th.
I honestly forget it's 24, so I kind of value. So I could probably go third, fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick before we move on out of our first group here, Darius Leonard, guys, he missed 3 games and still finished as linebacker number 7 in the LCC. No other linebacker in the top 18 missed a single game. So just for that perspective, no linebacker in the top 18 missed a single game. Darius Leonard missed 3 of them and still finished as linebacker number 7.
Yeah.
Is that not wild?
That is
Yeah.
He is
crazy.
unreal.
He's fucking.
He is unreal.
It's what 40 points a game. I think it was
41.2
41.
is what he averaged. Yeah, and that's even lower. That's even lower than what was the year before, I think. So like he's averaging over 40 points a game in 2 consecutive seasons.
Well, I know
He is
Pat.
a freaking monster.
I know Pat enjoyed that first year. did
Oh,
not
yeah.
enjoy the second. But
Well,
I
second
enjoyed
year I
both
didn't
of them.
have him. It's funny.
Yeah,
I
that's-
traded him away
oh,
to get CMC,
your
and
dad.
that paid off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that paid off.
Absolutely.
All right.
Especially with
Second-
you
the
getting
second-
Joe.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. The second group here, Roquan Smith, number 13. Number 14, we've got Patrick Queen, the celebrated first-round pick in Baltimore.
I'm the rookie of the year. I'm the rookie of the year. I'm the rookie of the year.
Number 15, Levante David, Zach Cunningham, 16, Shaq Thompson, 17, J.M. Brown, 18, Kenneth Murray, 19, Demario Davis, 20, 21, Eric Kendricks, 22, Leighton Vander Esch, 23, Todd Davis, and 24, Danny Trevathan in Chicago. Guys, any thoughts on any of these players here? I know how much we love Patrick Queen. I know how much we love Kenneth Murray. We've got a couple different investments in different leagues. You know, I know, Cody, you're a Kenneth Murray owner in one league, as am I.
And a late.
A Leighton owner, and one I'm Patrick Queen owner in this league, obviously. So a lot of investment there in the young guys. Anyone here that we should discuss?
You know,
Feel good about? Don't forget about.
well, personally, to me, like I love this group. Like as much as I love the top 12, and I think they're like dynamite, and obviously they're the better group. I think there's so much potential from 13 to 24, and this is such an exciting group because a lot of these guys could be in the top 12. Levante David's always the most consistent guy in this thing. He's definitely gonna finish in the top 20. I have no doubt in my mind. He's the only one that like I think I was a little higher on him than you guys were. I just feel like he's consistent as all get out. So if you end up getting him as the LB15, like just be prepared to have consistency. But in terms of excitement and somebody that I think has a lot of potential in the top, 12 through 24, I think there's going to be 2 guys that really excite me. I think Shaq Thompson by himself, well, not by himself,
Yeah.
but
Without
taking over
Kuechly.
that lead role, I think he's
Yeah.
really nice. I was excited about Jayon Brown last year, and I think he can maybe take that next step and maybe be elite for Tennessee.
Someone's getting some text messages over there. I don't know who that
Is
is. Like,
that you, Cody?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sorry.
Cody's the popular guy.
I know, for real. I'm like, dang, dude.
That's
And
gotta be a
then-
group chat.
And then like Roquan Smith, like tracking back up. I think all 3 of those guys have potential to be top 5.
Oh yeah.
Roquan Smith
I
was
was
a stud his rookie year. Do you guys
He
remember
was.
that?
I do remember that, but he's been pretty good ever since too. I mean, I was shocked at how high I was in Roquan Smith. I don't think I believed I would ever put him at where I did. I got him at number 12. I've got him inside my top 12. We've got him at number 13 at our consensus. But I felt like, I was like, I can't believe I'm putting him this high. But I actually believe in it now as I'm doing it. But Roquan Smith is a guy that I'm actually pretty high on this season. Like you said, Cody, like he's a guy that could easily get up there into the top 12 and maybe even get further than that.
And is that not another third-year guy? Or is he a fourth-year guy?
I got to think about that.
Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's
I'm about to look it up.
well, I think he's like Tremaine Edmonds' year, isn't he? Is this year
Yeah,
3?
I think they're both third-year guys.
Let's see.
think
He's
so. They're in the
23
same
years
draft class, I
old.
believe.
And, yep, 2018 was his first year. He had 121 combined tackles, and last year he had 101. So he still broke that.
Stop it. It's
last
third-year
year-
guys, man.
Yeah, last year was definitely a dip.
Did he not get hurt? Did he not get hurt
Yeah.
last year though?
He missed
did.
some
4
games for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
he missed
he did.
games.
So I'm looking at his stats now. He missed 4 games and he had 6 points in one game where he went out and missed the next 3. So I'm thinking he got hurt pretty early. So he missed 4+ games.
Well, I
and
know
he
he
still
got.
finished
It was
with
4.
32.
I know
yeah.
he got hurt, and then like there was a time in the season where he stepped away for like a game or two, like for certain reasons,
Yeah.
like undisclosed like personal reasons. So I don't know
But
if
he's
he
still-
was injured.
He's a first round pick. Like they've got
Yeah.
value. Or they've got draft capital tied up into him,
Oh,
you know?
he's a stud. He's going to be
Early
really
pick.
good. I really
Yeah.
believe that. Like he's definitely a good linebacker, and that's why I mean. Obviously, I think he's one of those ones that can. He's basically in that group with. So basically, it goes. Roquan Smith and Edmonds were they're in their third year, which they could really take off, and then right after that, you got the Devons, which were the year after that in a draft, and they're going into their second year, and they both show potential. I could see them. We all three got them in our top 10. I could see them kind of maybe playing level and playing to where they did instead of taking that next step. Those two guys, Roquan and Edmonds, take that next step, and they end up replacing where Devin Bush and White are in our consensus, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then Devin Bush and them take that. I mean, Devin and the two Devons take the next step, the third year.
Yeah.
Was that
Well-
hard to follow?
No, I mean, no, I totally get where you're going to that. I mean, Roquan Smith was a guy, he averaged a little over 6 tackles a game last season, which means in those 4 games he missed, if he would have played, mathematically speaking, he would have gotten more tackles than last season. But here's the catch. Last season, he had 35 assist tackles. The year before, where he played a full season, he had 32. So that right there tells me this dude was all over the field in those 12 games that he played, or 13 games that he played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, limited time. And you averaged out over 16 games, and he would have performed even better than he did his rookie season. He's a monster, man. He's an absolute monster. You know what? I like him so much.
You want to crown him? Then crown her.
We're gonna go ahead and crown him.
I
Um,
genuinely kind of want to put him in front of Edmonds now.
That's what I said. Yeah, I've got him in my
I
top
wanna
12.
swap him, like,
there's somebody listening right now just moving Roquan Smith way up their board.
Yeah.
like, ahead of Devin White, Devin Bush. He's a top 5 linebacker. No, guys. Yeah, we'll keep moving here. I really hope a guy like Roquan falls to like the 4th round or something like that. You know, Cody says no. Okay, so I guess we know what Cody's dealing with there.
Well, no,
Big
not
fan.
that. Not that it is. But like, if you go back and look at that draft, like there was a run on linebackers, and I think
Yeah.
there's a very logical like thought process that somebody might be high on Roquan, especially in that type of defense in Chicago.
We'll do another mock draft before the season starts.
Yeah.
So we can get a really good feel, especially like after all the COVID stuff and all that, get a really good feel for what we expect from these guys in the draft. So, all right, next group here, guys. We've got some breaking news.
Isaiah Simmons falls outside of our top 24 in our consensus rankings. I say that as breaking news because I've been in some drafts, some mock drafts, some rookie drafts, blah, blah, blah. And Isaiah Simmons is always the first rookie linebacker taken. And it just infuriates me for some reason. And I don't know why. Maybe because the Panthers skipped on him in the real draft. And I'm still a little scarred. Maybe it's because he's in Arizona and I still like him, but I just don't know how I feel about him next to like Jordan Hicks and Buda Baker kind of moves around and all of that. But we have him here at number 25. We'll come back to him there in a sec. Mac Wilson and Cleveland at 26. Christian Kirksey, who was in Cleveland, now in Green Bay at 27. Jerome Baker, 28. Rashawn Evans, 29. KJ Wright, 30. Tahir Whitehead, another Panther linebacker at 31. Thomas Davis, a former Panther linebacker at 32. Quan Alexander at 33. And let's see, we're going to go to 36. Anthony Walker, 34. Jared Davis, 35. And Logan Wilson, the rookie linebacker in Cincinnati, at 36 here. Guys, anyone from there, 25 to 36, you want to discuss?
Pat?
Well,
You're the lowest on Isaiah Simmons. You got him at 29. I'm assuming it's because of some of the reasons we mentioned.
yes. I mean, the fact that he's playing there in that Arizona defense is already pretty loaded. I mean, we know they had some guys last season. Don't get me wrong, their team didn't end up making the playoffs, so it's not like they were a great team, but they had pieces there, especially on that defensive side of the ball, where we knew they could be in a position where they could be great the next season. Isaiah Simmons comes in as an excellent athlete, probably, honestly, just skill-wise, the best linebacker in the draft. But unfortunately, the situation where he's in does not put him in a place where he can finish, in my opinion, as a top 24 linebacker this season. I'm not talking about next season, the year after that, and so forth. Dynasty purposes, Isaiah Simmons is the best linebacker out there for the rookies of the 2020 class. But this season, I just don't see him making the top 24 because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, he's the best linebacker, and that's why he was taken the first linebacker in the draft. But at the same time, I still ranked Murray and Queen above him just because straight opportunities. Like, those guys are put on teams where they can make plays. He can make plays, but at the same time, there's other guys that are going to be making plays. And I'm a Clemson fan, so like it hurts me to like put guys like that in front of him. But let's think logically, and I I just think that's where we're at this point in time. Now, if he's the only one of the group, in my opinion, that can have a really good year based off of secondary help. So like maybe he can pull down 5 interceptions or something like that, something crazy like that, and that's how he ends up being one of the better rookies. But I mean, tough luck. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not gonna hold my breath.
I'll tell you one of the guys you guys know, but one of the people I was most excited about in this list was Christian Kirksey in Green Bay, just because he's going in and filling in that Blake Martinez spot, and I feel like he's there's no way, unless he gets hurt, which we know Christian Kirksey has a history with injuries. Unless that happens, dude, he's a guy I could see cracking the top 24. I mean, Green Bay has not had a linebacker go without 100-plus tackles since 2016, Blake Martinez's rookie year. So when you look at that, I mean, the odds are there, dude. He should get a great volume, especially in that defense that's been totally changed, the core of it. I mean, he should have a great year. He should have over 100 tackles, in my opinion.
Okay. If he does, was he picked on the waiver wire? Did Maria pick him?
I think someone did get him.
I think Maria did, didn't she?
I think she did, because I had hyped him up and then she went and stole him from me. So
I'm not a big fan. So
Yeah, we'll see. I have a hard time believing, just because his last couple seasons, like I want to so bad, but I don't know. I feel like I got to see it. with
Yeah, I
Christian
definitely
Kirksey.
think
yeah,
he's
Maria did take Christian
talented.
Kirksey. I just looked it up, by the way.
I
Sorry.
definitely think he's talented. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see it in terms of me wanting to chance it with him. I think I would. He'd probably be on one of my like. You'd probably have to drop pretty low for me to like take him. Like it'd have to be like a killer value. Um, but in terms of other guys on this list that I'm excited about, I think there's two guys. I think there's Quan Alexander, who always has potential to be one of the best linebackers in the league as long as he can stay healthy. Um, which I don't know. I don't think. See, I think Quan and Kirksey are similar, but I think Quan has a higher ceiling. Does that?
Oh, Quan has a more proven history of doing it too. I
Yeah.
think at the highest level than Kirksey does.
Really? I
I
think
think
Oh,
so.
Kirksey's had
definitely.
some. I think Quan's had like one really like solid year without getting hurt, and I think Kirksey's had a couple. Man,
I think
I don't
Kirksey
know.
had a really good one,
I
but
feel
I
like
think after
Quan's
that, I haven't
young
seen much.
too.
Quan's 27.
No, no way.
I think so.
His
Younger.
first season was 2015.
Quan's younger than that.
I'm gonna look. I'm interested. Let's see how old Quan Alexander is.
Let's see. Quan Alexander's had
He's
one season of 100 plus tackles,
oh, dude,
2016.
he'll be. He is 26 years old as of tomorrow.
Younger than
Oh,
me.
nice. So he's
So
25
he's
right
26.
this second. No,
right this second, he's 25.
but and then the second guy on this, did we get to 30? We got to 36, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
36.
Logan Wilson at
Okay, so
36.
Logan Wilson. Yeah, I like Logan. I think he's got opportunity. He's not the best rookie linebacker, but outside of maybe Queen and Murray, he's probably got the next best like opportunity wise. And
Yeah.
I liked him. I don't think he's a bad college player. I think he's just. He kind of reminds me of like. I don't want to compare the two together, but like he kind of reminds me of Blake Martinez a little
Ooh.
bit, and maybe like a Joe Schobert, like a mixture. I think he's a little more athletic than
Oh,
Joe,
Patrick, that's your boy then.
Yeah.
but I
This
don't
guy's
think.
Joe Schobert and Blake Martinez.
Nah.
Holy cow!
Here, I think here's a good one. He's in the middle, which I kind of think he is. That Matt Malione, or who's the Buffalo guy?
Milano. Matt
Milano,
Milano.
Matt Milano. He's kind of like him.
Yeah.
Okay. And Matt Milano he's solid. You know.
I think he's a tad more athletic, so I think he has the potential to be better. But also Milano plays on a good with another good linebacker. Who is he playing with?
Logan Wilson. I mean, he's got Jermaine Pratt, but he's not a star. Nick Vigil is there, but he's not great.
Yeah. Bunch of like average dudes.
Bunch
Yeah.
of
Average
bunch of average
Joes.
guys that could fall off. Yeah. Jags, just a guy. Real quick before we move on to the last group here, Mac Wilson in Cleveland. We've seen a track record of Cleveland linebackers being solid, like Jamie Collins when he was there, Joe Schobert obviously, and Mac Wilson's coming in. I don't know if he's going to play inside or if he's going to be one of the outside LBs, but I mean, I think he's a super young guy. I think he's still like 21 or 22 years old. High motor. I think this is a guy who could be a sleeper, maybe not as an LB1, but a pretty high LB2, I think, type of ceiling for this guy. So just kind of be aware of him as you're drafting, because no one knows who he is. He could easily slip to like the 7th, 8th, 9th round, but could provide a lot higher value than that come draft time.
And he also
So.
had a good end of last year, like, or LB1 type end of last year. Probably the last like 7 games he was in LB1.
Yeah, you want to hear his last 5 games? 40, 21, 41, 19, and 30. So he's definitely kind of picked it up through the second half of the season. And I think with Joe Schobert gone, I mean, who else is really going to be there? He was a rookie last season, right? So, I mean, if we can hope to see some improvement, he finishes LB 41. I think in the high 20s is certainly realistic for him. So just kind of keep an eye on him.
All right, guys. Last group here, then we'll wrap it up. 37, Anthony Barr. 38, Roquan McMillan. Full disclosure, everyone below Raekwon McMillan, uh, these are not consensus guys across the board for all three of us. They were on two of the guys' list, but not necessarily a third list. But they were kind of the next highest ones here. Anthony Hitchens at 39. Um,
Come on, man.
Jamie Collins at 40. Avery Williamson at 41. Patrick Onwuasor at 42. Both of those guys are jet linebackers. And CJ Mosley's gone. So we obviously aren't decided on who's going to be the guy there now. Miles Jack at 44. Micah Kaiser at 45. Matt Milano, we've talked a lot about, 46. Jawan Bentley, the linebacker for the Patriots, one of them that we expect, I guess, to get some tackles. And then my boy Chase Holcomb at 48.
There he is. I'm glad he made it. I'm glad he made the
Chase
cut.
Holcomb. I was dumpster diving for Chase Holcomb last season. All right, guys, these back 12 could do anything, right? Like Avery Williamson could be the starter, or Patrick Onwuasor could be the guy. Like Jawan Bentley, Cody literally said who, like when we got on in the podcast earlier. Like Miles Jack is in here. It's disgusting. Micah Kaiser, I don't even know who that is. Like this is a very fun list that could go any sort of way, I think, throughout the season. So is there anyone here that you guys would recommend to anybody else?
No.
No.
No. Well, I mean, there's some potential in some of these guys. I mean, I think you know what you're gonna get with Anthony Barr. I don't.
Yeah, he's the safest one
Yeah.
out of all these guys.
Yeah, he is.
I
A very solid floor.
I think you kind of know what you're gonna get with Roquan right now. Maybe he can give you a little more of an uptick than he's used to doing.
Mhm.
The better Miami gets, especially with their line and their whole front seven, which they made a lot of really good pickups in the offseason, I believe. So I think the front seven is going to be a lot better. Jamie Collins is the most big potential guy on here. He's just getting old. Bernard Rick McKinney, solid guy. I mean, it's not a bad backup. He'll have a couple of good games and he'll get you. He'll never drop below 10.
Yeah. He's definitely a good flex player if he needs
Yeah.
someone, you know.
Oh, I mean, he's definitely good. He's gonna be rostered for sure.
Yeah.
And then I like Micah Kaiser. Honestly, I think
in Los Angeles.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of us didn't have him on their list. Who was it?
I think it was Jameson.
It was me. I went with Sam Ebukam instead of Micah. But I mean, it could be either one. I don't know. Just like with the Patriots and Jets, I don't know who their linebacker is going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be fantasy.
It's kind of
relevant. I don't
anybody's
know.
game.
Man, I don't know. I liked Micah at Virginia. I thought
Yeah.
he was a really good player. I think he's been solid so far. Like I don't know. I'm with it. Patrick had him a little higher than I did, which I was a little surprised.
He's
there
my
you go.
favorite linebacker there in LA. So, in my opinion, all right, the best linebacker in LA, in my opinion, has got to finish, top 40 or so, or close to it. You know what I mean? And that was kind of my reasoning behind going Micah Kaiser there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like him. I was surprised to even see him on your list. To be honest, I didn't expect anybody to have him on their list. So, I'm with that.
Okay.
I hate Miles Jack, so nobody get him.
Yep.
He's
I
a
agree.
trade. And then I'll move. Y'all can take the floor.
Okay. Bonus round. We've got a few guys here before we wrap up that were listed on only one list. Jatavis Brown, Willie Gay Jr., Nick Vigil, Dre Greenlaw, Sam Ebukam, Vince Williams, Jordan Brooks, and Denzel Perryman. So you got the 48 in our consensus
Denzel.
and an additional 8 guys there. Denzel Perryman. God, I feel like Denzel Perryman's in that same group with Quan and Christian Kirksey, where it's like, all right, man, you're gonna be a stud, and then he like destroys an ACL or something in the week 1 or something, for 3 straight seasons, But anyway, so that's our consensus top 48. That should be plenty of guys
to get you through the draft. I hope.
We just gave you some extras.
Yeah, and the extra, yeah, 8 extras on top of that. 56 linebackers here. Hopefully, none of these guys opt out due to COVID-19. And that's it for me, guys. I guess we'll see you guys next week for the DVDs.
See
Anything else from
y'all.
you guys?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. All right. We'll see you. Have a good week.